Hello, today is August 24th and we're doing business and social links.
To share with your friends. That we're sharing with you because you're our friends, in a way. Not the normal way.
In the parasocial sort of way.
But a way. And let's talk about Amazon. Well, we got the holiday season coming up. How exciting. It's going to be so much fun with hyperinflation. And Amazon sees that coming by a mile.
Amazon is raising seller fees for the holidays to manage the through.
You were I think the tick bite might be getting to you. You're struggling with these headlines today.
What is going on?
Through is the word you're looking
Through. Amazon is raising seller fees for the holidays to manage through surging inflation. Because of surging inflation. Through doesn't make sense there to me for some reason. It's managed through surging inflation.
Yeah, it's a terrible headline.
It's technically correct, but it doesn't flow very well when you say it out loud.
So they're saying they need to manage
because
during.
Yeah.
Like to get through the. Yeah, that's who is this? Annie Palmer?
She might not be the editor, though. It's the editor who makes the headlines.
At Annie Palmer. Oh, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't. But since Annie Palmer is the only name we know, that's the
blame.
person you're going to have to tweet at.
It's interesting, though, that they're raising the seller fees, not just raising the fees.
But that's going to... They're going to pass that along to us. I think that's the idea, right? It's like, oh, don't talk to Amazon. It's these nasty sellers.
I've heard some sellers angry about this because they're like, well, I have to, compensate for this, but Amazon put me in this position.
Is it actually more expensive? I mean, the compute part of it hasn't gotten more expensive. When has computing ever gotten more expensive?
Well, fuel is down from the peak, at least, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Energy
also
costs.
by winter,
You're
might
right.
go higher because of heat.
What does Amazon know that we don't yet?
Well, that wood stove's starting to look real good, but it's expensive to install.
And by that same token, what does Apple know? Apparently what all the other tech companies know.
Apple reportedly lays off 100 contract recruiters after committing to hiring on a quote-unquote deliberate basis. Again, this is a terrible headline.
Were they doing involuntary hiring before? It's like, we don't want you here, but my hands are tied. Welcome aboard.
What they mean is that Apple had hired recruiters, 100 of them, to just get people to come to Apple. They just need butts in the seats.
Like a press gang.
Yeah.
You stop at a red light, they drag you out of the car and take you over to the Apple campus, give you a job.
That photo of him is very douchey.
Has he ever taken one that isn't?
A douchey aura.
So they got rid of those guys. Now it's going to be up to internal people to hire. Okay. But where do you go if you're a contract recruiter? Like, how does that even work? Aren't you paid on commission?
Now, this is August 18th. I don't know if TechCrunch was just really late to the party. I think this is different, though, because last week we talked about if you ask Google a question and it just gives you the box that's the actual answer.
Yeah.
They were going to make that better.
This is not that.
This sounds similar, but it's not that. I think this might be like they were hoping we would confuse it with that.
Yeah.
Because what this is probably election meddling. That's what I'm expecting this to be.
Google will roll out new updates to reduce low quality and unoriginal content in search results. So this is actually search engine spam. I think they're saying search engine spam here. Because when I search for obscure things, I get a lot of search engine spam.
Gardening stuff, you try to look something up and it's like, there's a certain format of these sites and you know what you're looking at where it's like a table of contents, but all of the questions are just like completely random. And then you can tell that they've just copied and pasted.
If I were in charge of Google, I would have developed the algorithm to detect the listicle format, instantly minus 100 points.
Well, so they describe what you're saying as SEO first content rather than human first content.
Yeah.
I wonder who spearheaded the movement into SEO first content. What company could be responsible for the hell that we're living in?
The crazy thing is that SEO first is good for the ad dollars because you click on something and it's like, oh, this isn't what I want. But you get all those ads. Then you click back and then you click on something again. Oh, this isn't what I want. You get all those ads again.
Yeah.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
I want to learn about growing this particular type of flower in zone 6. And it's like, here's 100 random posts about every other flower except the one you're looking for.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to look back and at some point it's going to be like, hey, what about this embarrassing thing that politician X did right before the election? And Google's going to be like, oh, we made those changes. And
I can't find anything.
That was a mistake, but we fixed it. And we're gonna fix it in December.
Are you
That's what
saying
we're
that
doing.
when I do garden searches, it's still going to pull up the crap that it's always been pulling up?
I'm afraid maybe it will. Yeah. And Intel, we've learned about their new GPUs, and then we immediately learned that they might be a little buggy and they might be a little less than was promised. Now we learned that there are more concessions, although this one might not be terrible.
This one's not terrible. Intel has dropped DirectX 9 support on Xe, Arc, etc. GPUs and switches to DirectX 12 emulation. So if you wanted to play old DirectX 9 games, sorry.
Some people do, and if I wanted to play old DirectX 9 games, maybe that would be a use case for one of these GPUs.
No.
They're weak. They're not great.
No.
Are they cheap? Do they name a price yet?
They're not super cheap. They're okay.
You know what else is just okay, but after owning one, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably never doing that again. Android tablets. Not a great situation. The update situation will eventually ruin it for you if you keep it long enough, but they're going to keep trying.
The upcoming Pixel tablet could ship with a 64-bit only version of Android 13. That is really a tragedy. I've still got a Nexus 13, which used to play 1080p content with VLC just fine, and now it can't.
I used one strictly as an e-reader until the battery completely crapped out. At the very end, a page turn took 3 seconds.
It's like, how is this? Like, what?
What have you done to this?
Planned obsolescence.
And Qualcomm. Now, Qualcomm, this is not the first time they've attempted this. The last time, abject failure. Unfortunate, but they are undeterred.
Qualcomm reportedly plans to re-enter the server chip market. They're looking around at what Amazon is doing, and they think that they've got some room there because Amazon Graviton, the newest version of Graviton, is actually shockingly good. Like, people inside of Intel and Microsoft should maybe, or Intel and AMD should maybe stop fighting with one another to look at what's going on with Graviton because it's actually pretty good.
This was Nuvia. They were already working on a server chip. Qualcomm gobbled them up, and now they're like, oh, yes, we have a server chip. We should do something with that.
It didn't really work out. The Surface X Qualcomm chip didn't really work out. So I'm hoping this is less of a train wreck.
TSMC, gosh, I hope they keep running in the future because it sure seems like they could be disrupted, which means we won't get this.
TSMC to begin 3-nanometer chip production next month. Apple is, of course, a customer, as is literally everybody else. Of course, Apple's first in line because they demand it.
I really like this. How often do you think they have to clean this? Somebody power wash this like once a week?
Yeah, there's one guy that works full-time. When he gets done, he's good. There's another one on the other side of the campus, and he just has to rotate.
So, yeah, I got some charts here about speed improvement. It does seem like there's going to be some better stuff here. We'll see. We'll see if it ever gets fabricated. And we haven't had a lot of the work from home arguments for a while. It seemed to cool down there for a while because, everything got crazy again and they were like, okay, we're going to back off. But now it seems the push is now for 2023.
The plot line has resurfaced as things have calmed down a little bit.
And they're still kicking the can down the road a little bit, but they're saying, hey guys, next year for real next year.
For real.
Back to normal.
As the kids say.
AT&T workers fight return to office push. We can do the same job from home. Indeed, we can. So,
yeah, they point out all the benefits and how much better their lives are. They also point out the measurements of productivity for inside AT&T went up in some departments. So, what's the argument?
the other argument is also, if you want us to come back, we now have to get a babysitter, and that's going to be wildly expensive in these inflationary times.
And how can you... you can't find somebody to do any kind of labor. Can you still find babysitters as childcare?
Oh, childcare is terrible right now.
And if you drop your childcare off at a daycare center, it's just swimming with the diseases that we can't name. Streaming, lots of streaming news this week, and this is a milestone that I'm amazed it took this long to hit.
Yeah.
But this is the high water mark. What's the opposite of long live? Death to television? I don't know.
Play taps for television. Press F.
Streaming viewership overtakes cable TV for the first time. Netflix and the other streaming services represented a record 34.8% share of total television consumption in the U.S. last month. I think streaming probably actually did overtake cable TV for the first time in a long time. They're counting all those TVs that are on and all those nursing homes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So wait,
Or in hospitals, yeah.
if this is 35%, but this is more than cable, then that means this and cable are a total of 70%, which means 30% is over the air still?
Probably.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I guess those would be the only people still watching it.
Or just local channels. I mean, there are people that we know that just have the TV locked at the local over-the-air channel.
Oh my God. Well, it's not over the air, but my parents, it's never off of MSNBC.
Yeah.
That's all they consume. And streaming services have been cracking down. What's the status of your Netflix, Krista?
No, it was working the other day. So maybe it was just that too many of us were trying to use it at the same time.
Or maybe they backed down because I think what they're learning is the more draconian they get and the more they raise these prices, and everybody's raising prices, people are like, well, maybe I don't need that all the time.
Streaming services deal with more subscribers who watch, cancel, and go, which will inevitably lead to releasing one episode a week.
Oh, that's already happening with a lot of shows. I also think though, like is it eventually going to be like a cable package where it's like you're locked into a contract?
Yeah, for a
And
year.
they're trying to bundle them now.
Yeah.
They're trying to get more and more services all on one so you can't skip around.
Yeah. Speaking of bundling.
Yeah, so we learned, this might have been while you were out, Krista, but Walmart was courting all of the big.
Yeah.
Walmart wants Disney Plus. I don't think Disney Plus is ever going to play ball with Walmart.
Even if they did though, like would anyone allow that to go through? Probably, but probably shouldn't. That'd be quite the monopoly.
But a smaller, crappier streaming service, they're happy.
Paramount to be bundled with Walmart Plus membership. Paramount Plus. I can barely see the plus.
There's a Walmart Plus. That was the real takeaway from the article for me.
That was, yeah. I was
Well,
what is the Walmart Plus?
They're trying to emulate the Amazon thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about this. You get Paramount Plus with your Walmart Plus subscription. Oh, that's great. But it's ad supported. Why would anybody watch streaming and have ads? That's counterintuitive.
But then they're all going to that model now, which it's like, again.
Well, they are, yes. However, there is a winner from the streaming war. Now, I think Disney has an ad-supported one too, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think recently added, right?
I think they even changed the terms of service on the ad-free one to say that you might see an ad every now and then. So when they get a really big ad, it's like, oh, we can push it over the top.
Oh, my God. And they are still losing, but boy, that gap is shrinking rapidly.
What streaming slowdown? Disney Plus added 14.4 million subscribers in Q3. Netflix now maintains just a 68.6 million subscriber advantage over the surging Disney Plus. And if I can show my mom how to use my local media server, they're going to be down one more subscriber.
Wait, do you actually have Disney Plus?
How's that going?
Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Okay.
This is what a low-rent superhero Miss Marvel looks like.
Yeah, that's not a good costume.
Is that her superhero costume? She's wearing the mask.
I don't think that's her superhero costume, but it is kind of like
She does have a lovely bracer.
with no shirt under it, so it gets nice and sweaty and chafes.
And so, yes, Netflix does have ad-supported. And they look at the ad-supported people as somewhat lesser.
Netflix's cheaper ad-supported plan reportedly won't allow downloads for offline viewing, so no watching on an airplane for you.
You'll have to watch the in-flight entertainment. What a nightmare.
You think that's because they couldn't come up with an easy way to inject the ads into the offline viewing?
Probably, probably.
You could download everything you want to watch, pull the plug, and then watch it all and never get an ad. And they're like, no, we can't have that.
I didn't think about that. That's probably true.
I am right now. I'm kind of angry because I'm enjoying the Rocket League golf game. It's not called that. It's called something else. But it's Rocket League with golf.
Turbo golf racing.
That's what it is.
Yep.
But I'm trapped into the Xbox online portion because I'm on the Game Pass, the Microsoft Game Pass, and I don't like playing with those people. I want to play with the Steam people, but I can't.
Microsoft finally admits Xbox One sales were less than half of the PS4. Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of my reaction. I was like, oh, that's not very good.
So
Was this supply chain or was this because of product?
no, it's because the PS4 was way better, and maybe just better advertised. I don't know, but they didn't tell us that for 7 years because it's embarrassing. Why would you? Well, that's a good question. Why would you? Oh, it's because you're trying to merge and you're trying to make yourself look like a loser versus Sony, because that's the anti-competitive part. Yeah.
We're just a small indie company. Look, we lose too.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you know what else we lose a lot of stuff to? Pirated keys, man. They're killing us. We're just a little mom and pop organization. We can't handle that.
Microsoft sues activation key and token sellers for enabling customers' piracy.
This is a great image. Whoever did this little stock image in here.
That is nice. It's got some like texture in the background too.
Yeah.
They took some time with that. They made it nice. So yeah, they're saying that if you resell these keys, they're coming after you. Just don't activate it. It works if you don't activate it.
There is kind of a dark chapter to this in that it's not enough that Microsoft is going after this from the anti-piracy angle. They're going after this from the you can't resell the license angle as well, or what they're doing could close the door on that. So like if you buy a piece of software that comes with a dongle and I give you the dongle, then you could use the software, right? Well, not necessarily. It's what Microsoft is saying here too. Even if it's a legit dongle.
The horrific phrase was something about like, we don't sell software. We sell licenses.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a license, you cannot use our software.
Yeah.
And they said that without realizing what a monster they are for saying it.
Yeah. No first sale doctrine for software.
And another monstrous thing that happens, I was just reading about, I'm fascinated by the caste system in India. And I was just reading about, I think there was a sexual assault, but the two guys that did it were Brahmin. And a lot of the high ranking political guys were like, hey, these guys are Brahmins. They would never do that.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, as much as we would like to believe that it doesn't, does bleed over in our H-1Bs.
Caste in California. Caste.
Caste, right?
In California. Tech giants confront ancient Indian hierarchy. And then the only line that I fixated on in this article was, and apparently that's not illegal under California law.
Right. Well, it is if in certain situations for hiring, I think.
Yeah.
But what this guy was complaining about was he was trying to get a promotion, but all of his managers were upper caste Indians. And they basically told him that's never happening. So Microsoft, or was it Microsoft?
Microsoft,
I got paywalled on this
Microsoft Legal was like, I don't remember. It was Apple and Microsoft. It was talking about this as a problem in all of the Silicon Valley.
The one company in particular, like it wasn't a company policy. They didn't kick it upstairs and be like, hey, we're thinking about not giving this guy promotion because he's the lower caste. It was just these two guys, but how do you ever get past that?
And the lawyers pointed out, it's not technically illegal. We're just not going to give you a promotion.
Class discrimination, totally fine in the U.S.
Yeah.
We do basically do that, don't we? But the thing about it is we have mobility, right?
Right.
If you win the lottery, they'll welcome you into the upper caste.
Well, you're new money in that case. So
I mean,
you might still be.
Elon Musk is not new money, but he doesn't fit in with money. He's kind of a wild card, but they accept him because of his money. But in the caste system, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, I'm not touching you. You're less. Here is our feel-good story of the week. Unfortunately, this man was in constant contact with John Deere as he was doing this, and they are furiously working right now to fix it.
New jailbreak for John Deere tractors rides the right to repair wave. A hacker has formulated an exploit that provides root access to popular models of the company's farm equipment. This was at DEF CON, and it was awesome. It turns out that all of these tractors have an LTE modem and are dangerously insecure and run unpatched Linux and Windows CE. So all of our food supply really could be taken out by an angry 11-year-old.
May take a little more skill than that. This guy definitely, he did a lot of stuff he had to. It was similar to the Starlink hack.
Oh yeah, once he was in there, like this guy figured out a lot, but he figured out that it was so rotten on the inside. Now we know what the weaknesses are. We don't need Luke Skywalker to blow up the Death Star with fabulous piloting. An 11-year-old could trip over the wrong cord and cause the same result.
But hopefully, This will make it so that some people can actually fix their tractors. And probably he hacked 2 specific models, probably skyrocketed the resale value of those 2 specific models.
Tractors aren't cheap. We looked into that briefly. They are very expensive.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're considerably more than a car. Considerably.
Yeah. Even used ones, very expensive.
Oh yeah, if you got a used tractor in good shape from like the 70s, it has not gone down in value.
Most of my neighbors, like if they have a tractor, it's an ancient one like that.
Well, here's a headline that no one ever wants to see. I mean, it doesn't affect me, but I still don't like it.
Your iPhone may soon have more ads because Apple is a $1 trillion company. Maps, podcasts, and books. Woo!
These are all the pre-installed Apple apps that you can't get rid of. They're adding ads to those.
Now, didn't we predict this when Apple was changing the whole ad tech thing? Nobody's buying the Apple ad tech. Okay, let's make it harder for everybody else to use other people's ad tech. Oh, look at that. Apple's ad tech revenues went up in their quarterly earnings.
The big question is, what does the ad purchasing control panel look like? And are they doing are they tracking after all to give you exclusivity to the tracking? They'll probably try to hide that.
I'm imagining a scenario where like you're on maps and you're trying to navigate somewhere and you're getting ready to turn off at your exit, but then an ad comes up and it's like, play Candy Crush now, and you miss your exit because of it. Sad.
How hilarious is it that in all of they got all the commodities in a drop down up here at the top? One of them is cannabis.
Oh.
I thought it was cannabis oil, but oil is there's a separate
Oh.
there. You just can't see it very well. And well, so electric cars, they're catching on. Now we did learn recently that there's not enough actual raw material to keep making them. So at some point we're going to hit a wall there. I don't know what's going to happen, but they are hard to get. Sometimes you have to get on a waiting list. And then of course, if that's a Tesla, you know how that goes. He's going to raise the prices while you're waiting. So this company says, you know what, we're going to buy a bunch right now. And you guessed it, subscription service.
California startup is selling electric vehicle, quote unquote, subscriptions. What better way to make sure that you can't jailbreak it because you don't own it? It's not yours, not your tractor.
Now, I looked at these prices and for a moment I was like, okay, $500. If you gave me like a Model X for $500 for a month, just to see what it's like, maybe, especially if I was thinking about buying one, maybe I would consider that. However, then I read that there is a startup cost, which I believe was $6,900 just to get started.
Who is this for?
$5,900.
Still, it's a lot of money.
And then up to $690 a month, and you get 1,000 miles a month. That's no problem. I don't drive that much. So I wonder if you have to pay that $5,900 every time you switch to a new vehicle.
That would
Probably,
suck.
right?
That would really suck.
I just why not? Why wouldn't you just get a beater at that point?
To save the planet, Krista.
Listen, I want to save the planet, but I'm cheap as hell. I'm
Wouldn't-
poor.
I think technically getting a beater would save the planet more because you don't demand the production of new goods.
And because you're also like scared to drive it very far because it's going to break down eventually. You really got to think about your mileage when you're driving a beater.
That's like losing weight because you're poor.
Sleep for dinner.
And Airbnb, we have seen recently that they have a big problem with parties. Turns out people will rent a big, nice house and then pack it full of people and trash it. And that's a big problem. So how do you get around it? Well, in the most dystopian way.
Airbnb rolls out a new anti-party tech to prevent unapproved gatherings. Huh.
So this is an algorithm, much like the beautiful algorithms that control all of our lives. So if you're in the same town, if you're under 25 years old, if you do not have 3 positive reviews, or if some other flags come up, it's like, this is a partier. They won't even send it to the owner of the house. They won't even offer them the offer. They just destroy it. It goes into the memory hole.
Excellent.
I had a friend who got an Airbnb recently in Florida, and he said that the person that they got it from was very anti-party like that, and they had a noise detector out in the parking lot that was like if it reached a certain point, like they would call and say, "Are you guys partying?"
They should have taken some pots and pans out there and just went crazy.
Like I told him, I was like, "You got to test that," but he didn't.
And then when they call, it's like, are you having a party? Just keep making up more like insane reasons that there's noise out there.
The lizard people have arrived.
You know how they love their music before they invade. Well, the crypto space is suffering.
Yeah.
It's not getting much better. We've had little rallies and everybody's like, oh, it's over. I don't think it's over. I think there's some more ways to go down, and that is pretty obviously the reason that they have stopped spending money on advertising.
Crypto ads starring Matt Damon and Tom Brady vanished from U.S. television. So we're going to cover it in this news article, which costs way less in terms of advertising.
The YouTube video linked in this was very like...
The fortune favors the brave.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was like, I don't think that's the quote, but...
Any of you recent crypto investors feeling very fortunate right now?
Yeah.
We're going to get one response. It's like, oh yeah, because I got in so-and-so and I sold here and because I'm a master crypto trader. And then we're going to get a bunch of those posts where it's like, oh my God, this man on Telegram saved my life. Don't click on those.
Those are hard to click to keep in the spam list.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've had to go through and like manually remove so many, and it doesn't matter.
They
you
are
don't make
persistent.
A
Yeah.
Also, the YouTube anti-spam algorithm has gotten to the point where it doesn't show me the comments that I like to see. It just shows me the comments that it's not sure are spam. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, is this spam? And every time, invariably, that's
You're
spam.
training their algorithm.
And it's like, I'm doing the work of the algorithm here. What's going on?
What a terrible world. But the three of us, at least, still have employment. And that's more than can be said for some people. Now, Crypto.com, they made one of those terrible announcements, and we put it in one of our many, like the long crypto layoff blocks and big tech layoff blocks. However, that was not the end of the story.
Crypto.com laid off 260 employees, and then they quietly let go of hundreds more. Oops.
Yeah, you mentioned the quote in the other article where they're like, oh, this is not technically illegal. They said the exact same thing here. It's like, well, technically we don't have to tell you. So stop asking.
Technically not illegal, but maybe a little unethical.
Apparently somebody did some studies that were unnecessary because any person with an IQ over 75 already knows this intuitively. Please stop.
Buttons beat touchscreens in cars, and now there's data to prove it. Well, yeah.
Pretty obvious. So here are some of these horrific, of course, Tesla's the worst.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more and more ubiquitous. That one's pretty bare bones. What is that? Volkswagen?
I'm not opposed to the idea of like having a screen to display some stats, but like there's just something about having a tactile button. Like if you need to change the volume or something, it's so much easier to do that while keeping your eye on the road when you have something tactile to touch that you don't have to look at.
They timed these people, but here's the thing about it. They used people who had already been driving these cars for at least, I think, 100 days.
Yeah.
So they were familiar with the car, and yet twice as long
hesitation
versus the button and the touchscreen. Because you have to look at it. You don't have to look at a button. I like the steering wheel controls. Does Tesla have steering wheel controls? They probably...
I don't know.
You know what? I'm not going back.
It's too late. We've already claimed they don't have steering wheel controls.
Somebody in the comments will tell us. The Tesla people are always in the comments.
That's true.
The Tesla people will tell you that you can install the F1 style steering wheel, where it's just all the buttons and the switches and knobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not paying enough for this car. This was a missort. I don't know why I put this in business, but we'll just do
I was confused.
We'll take a cursory look at it because it is important.
A Wichita officer to face civil trial in deadly shooting on swatting call. So this is the officer that shot a dude that was unarmed and had no reason to be shot. But it was a swatting. So he is not at fault for the swatting part of it, but he is at fault for being a not particularly good police officer.
Well, apparently it was all the police officers on the call. The article said that like they basically swarmed this guy's house. The guy came out and was confused because he hadn't done anything and he wasn't expecting them. And all the cops were shouting different commands. Yeah.
Which they always do.
Yeah.
When there's more than one cop, they're all just screaming their lungs out and you have no idea what to do. And people are always confused by it.
Yeah. Well, because it's a dick measuring contest is what it is. Like, I want that guy to listen to me. So they all just start yelling over each other.
Compliance.
Yeah.
You will comply with lawful orders. To be fair, people do tend to shoot at them and run whenever given the opportunity. We've moved into social with that missorted story. I don't know how that got in there. But this is the one that you alluded to, Wendell, that TikTok is like, no, seriously, guys, seriously, we are not with the Communist Party. And then we see evidence after evidence that they are absolutely that. So they have to somehow try and convince us.
Oracle has stepped up, and they are now auditing TikTok's algorithms.
There's part of this like that's not really the flex you think it is for having Oracle do that.
And this is just the U.S. segment. This is just whatever's running on Oracle server that they can look at.
Because they moved everything from China to Oracle in order to guarantee that nothing crossed over. I think they will find exactly what TikTok expects them to find.
Yeah.
Because I think they like that business.
I think so too.
Facebook is, I took the story out because I think we did the same article last week, but they looked at a different portion of it. And the portion that they focused on in this week was Facebook, the kids just will not use it.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are allergic to Facebook. And so Facebook is saying like, well, I guess we've got this bad privacy reputation.
It's bad PR.
How can we convince people that we're not spying on them even though we're spying on them?
Facebook is testing encrypted chat backups. So this will back up your chat to an encrypted file. It doesn't really do anything for the rest of the chat.
Facebook has also recently had to admit that they gave up chat messages to cops.
Yeah, they don't currently do end-to-end encryption.
So presumably with this, they could tell the cops, we can give it to you, but it's going to be encrypted. We can't give you the unencrypted stuff.
Presumably, but probably not. Don't forget that, was it Proton Mail? Proton Mail was like that. It's like, oh, our service is encrypted. We can give you the encrypted stuff. And it was like, oh, here's a court order ordering you to modify your service to capture the decryption keys the next time somebody logs in.
That's not fair. And the metaverse, it does exist. You might be forgiven for not realizing that because what is it exactly? They have a couple of apps and they're excited to roll them out into new places, I guess.
Facebook launches in Spain its first attempt to build the metaverse, and oh boy, does it look like a disaster.
Oh, it just looks terrible.
They uploaded that's a selfie of
Mark Zuckerberg.
the Zuck, yeah. There's a great Photoshop version of that image where the rolling hills in the background have been turned into a Pepe butt.
No, there's an even better photo, not on this article, but this is the floating torsos. We've talked about the floating torsos before. Nothing has any legs, but everything was just sort of floating around a table. And it's like, I'm pretty sure that when the Wii launched, we had higher fidelity graphics than this.
It's very
The
like,
Mii's.
Yeah.
It's so sterilized.
Yeah.
Everything about the metaverse. Nothing feels genuine.
Who's doing the cyberpunk metaverse? I want to get behind them.
The dark dystopian metaverse. I think that is the one.
Everything's just covered in trash and gritty.
But yeah, I think that would be true, right? Because it's the whole Matrix thing.
Yeah.
The metaverse is too perfect for us to trust. And we know that there's evil behind it.
It should look exactly like how we expect it to, which is probably Mos Eisley.
Which they should overlay prison bars over everything that you see in the metaverse because that's what it is. It's a prison for your mind.
This is a paid service only. You can't access this part of the metaverse. Please connect your credit card.
And this is not, we've heard this before, but I just thought it was funny because, NPR is now hip to it.
Yeah.
Burnout has turned Twitch streamers' dreams of playing video games full time into nightmares. The algorithm demands that you play the game, but I want to play something else. No.
A lot of big streamers say that if they get off of certain games, like no one watches them anymore.
They interviewed the guy and he was like, well, I play Hades and that's how I got popular. But now I'm kind of done with Hades, but my chat will not tolerate that.
Yeah.
They said when you get to 200 viewers, that's when you start getting people who start demanding that you do exactly what they want.
Well, we've done very good avoiding that.
But not getting to 200 viewers.
Well, yeah, you're usually like around 150 or so.
So that is also full time. We do not stream for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
4 hours a day. He was doing 50-50 to try to appease them, but 4 hours of a game that you're not really into.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
rough.
wait.
We have played a lot of PUBG. I'm sorry.
But it's fun for me and Wendell and not for Ryan.
And this is the marketing team just not getting it.
Nope.
They don't understand. They know that something is out there that people really like, and they want to be like that, but they don't know how to be like that.
Amazon is internally testing a TikTok-like feed in its app. So the product search is going to be even more useless?
Yeah, I was going to say this is just going to be a random feed of products that it thinks you might like, but it's probably just going to be garbage.
I mean, Amazon doesn't realize how useless their product search has become. I've literally resorted to just using Google site:/amazon.com to find products because it's so garbage.
The filters are so bad. Like, it has no idea.
And that
what
wasn't always the
parameters.
case. Like a year ago, it was less terrible.
So it turns out on TikTok, it's actually really common to do content about Amazon products. So Amazon sees that and they're like, wait a minute, why don't you just come to us for that?
The
And
whole website needs to be reworked.
yeah, the reason they don't come to you for that is because you're not entertaining. You're an evil corporation. But it's coming. You're going to see it.
Imagine trying to get to the reviews and you have to scroll through a bunch of like TikToks first.
You know how like all the Chinese products have the fake reviews? Imagine how they're going to abuse this. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Dark.
Now, what do we got for Friday?
What do we always have for Friday?
Nonsense.
And robots and space.
Space. The best categories. All right, we'll see you guys then. Bye.